All right, boys, we're going to have a look at question 28, and I reckon this question is going to cause a few areas of concerns or disappointment for a number of students. Let me just go through this carefully for you so I know we're all on board. Choose a sport and describe how mental rehearsal, visualization, can be employed to produce optimal performance, and it's worth 5 marks. So first of all, you've got to choose a sport. Soccer, cricket, basketball, tennis, golf, doesn't matter. As long as you've got a sport clearly evident at the start. Then you have to describe how mental rehearsal, visualization can be employed to produce optimal performance. If we go to our syllabus, and I won't have the syllabus on the right question yet, so I'll just go down and find where it is. So looking here in our psychological strategies, what I want you to think about or be aware of is there is a difference between mental rehearsal and visualization. That's what the question's talking about. Those two areas there as a psychological strategy. Mental rehearsal and visualization. Just looking at our question, students needed to include mental rehearsal and visualization. Now, I reckon that the brackets have thrown people off, but it's a real learning curve for a lot of boys because you would need to have understood the fact that when we've gone through it in class, we go through and talk about mental rehearsal and visualization, and our notes on our stands do it as well, are two separate areas. Mental rehearsal, for example, this would involve seeing the entire performance. So if I'm kicking a goal in rugby league, Johnny Wilkinson was an example that was made a fair bit. If I'm kicking that goal in rugby union, I'm taking into consideration the whole environment. So it's the crowd, it's the atmosphere, it's the environment, it's the wind, the rain, the grass, the scoreboard, everything that goes into that mental rehearsal of me kicking that goal. If I'm visualizing the goal, all I'm doing is visualizing me kicking the goal. There are no other external distractions that come into it. So that's the two areas that needed to be made clear in your answer. And unfortunately, a very large percentage of us didn't. We look at this sample answer. The student talks about mental rehearsal can be employed to produce optimal performance in soccer. There's his sport. Tick, done it. Mental rehearsal involves mentally practicing your activity before doing it. In soccer, for example, the soccer player Francesco Totti mentally rehearses a penalty before taking it. This involves blocking out surrounding distractions such as the crowd and calming yourself if it's a penalty to win the game. Totti also visualizes where he's going to kick the ball, the top, the corner, the bottom, before he takes the kick, allowing for confidence when he takes the kick. This produces optimal performance as Totti is confident with where he is going to strike the ball and allows for his strike to be perfect, therefore producing optimal performance. In this response, there's a clear distinction between mental rehearsal and visualization, which I would have liked to have had underlined, which I can't see for a second. There, visualizes. There's the difference. He's including all the external parts come into it, the crowd, surrounding distractions. Here he's talking just about where he wants to kick the ball into the corner of the goal. That was the key thing for me. So knowing that mental rehearsal involves everything involving the crowd, the surrounding environment, the score, the weather, the wind, the whole lot. Whereas visualization is just the specific skill. There is nothing else that's come into it. The question also asked for boys to include a sport. This was done very well. Boys included a sport, which was great to see. And it was made very clear early on in the first 2 lines of your answer. However, students did struggle, and the common feedback for most boys would have been along the lines of needed to include both mental rehearsal, and I wrote MR, and then a plus for visualization, or a V. They needed to both be in there, and that's what boys missed out. So I know you've probably looked at the wording and thought, oh no, these two, mental rehearsal is visualization, but as a teacher, I've just lost it. You should have known that, as a teacher to his students, you should have known that these two are separate and they're not the same, and there's a distinct difference to help you with your answer. And overall, boys, this question I thought was really poorly done. This is an area for improvement. Again, reading the question, understanding what it's about, and answering it correctly.